Hey, I want to welcome to the show Chiefs Insider Steve Willis. Steve, how you doing tonight?
Hey, what's happening? I'm doing fantastic. Definitely getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay, that's great. That's great. So, Steve, let's get right to it. We saw on Sunday nights Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They did it again against the Chargers. They beat the Chargers 30-27, and the Chargers scored a go-ahead touchdown with a little over a minute and 40 left in the game. So, as a Chiefs insider, what was your thoughts when Justin Herbert and the Chargers took a 27-23 lead over the Chiefs with a little over a minute 40 left in the game? What was your thoughts? What was you thinking at that moment?
Well, if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, 13 seconds is obviously all the time you need. Just ask the Buffalo Bills that. But really, a minute and a half. In a minute and a half, you have plenty of time.
Yeah.
If you have Patrick Mahomes and that offense. Now, I remind you that offense did not have Mecole Hardman. That offense did not have Juju Smith-Schuster. That offense didn't have Kadarius Toney. He was out at the end of the game with a calf or with a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
So Patrick Mahomes went down there with Travis Kelce, with Sky Moore, and with basically a rotation of their third, fourth, and fifth wide receivers to produce that drive in a minute and a half. So it was a clinic that Patrick Mahomes put on as to how you do this with just anybody. And it spoke to the genius of that is Patrick Mahomes' style of play, which he can throw anybody open. With the, we all see the highlight plays, the no-look plays, the crazy throw around the linebacker and almost a curve ball, stuff like that. But the one thing he's really, really good at doing is leading those receivers right to where they need to be right then. Sky Moore put on a clinic. Justin Watson, an up-and-coming wide receiver for the Chiefs. He's been in the league, obviously, but first couple of years with the Chiefs, and now he is doing amazing, coming in for when they need a big body now that Juju's out.
Yeah,
and obviously Travis Kelce. What can you say about Travis Kelce?
Man.
The guy's going to walk out of the Chiefs locker room when he retires and walk right into the Hall of Fame. Right now, and one thing about Travis Kelce Sunday night. He actually took from Rob Gronkowski now the title of the most 100-yard games for any tight end ever.
Yeah.
So now that is another record that Travis Kelce holds. So the guy is just and he's no sign of slowing down. The guy is just he's grinding every week.
He is.
So just to sum it all up, really, as far as that drive, I had the utmost confidence that Kansas City was going to go down and score.
I agree with you, Steve. I agree. You and all the Chiefs Nation believed in Patrick Mahomes in that moment. It's almost as if Patrick Mahomes prefers to have come from behind wins, Steve. We've never seen a quarterback who thrives in situations where he has to come from behind to win football games. I've never seen anything like it. And honestly, I believe when you look at the MVP race, Steve, I love what Tua's doing with the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are at the top of the standings in the AFC East. I love what Jalen Hurts is doing in Philadelphia, leading the Eagles to the best record in the NFC. They are at the top of the standings in the NFC East. But I believe it is undeniable that Patrick Mahomes is the NFL MVP right now. He got 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 3,265 passing yards. He's completed 66% of his passes. I think he's the undisputed NFL MVP through the first 11 weeks of the season, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. To that, you say what?
Well, first of all, Patrick Mahomes, I think, pretty much made his final case on Sunday night against the Chargers in their stadium. The Chargers had everything to lose in that game, and the Chiefs knew that even if they would have lost that game, they still had a very good chance of locking up the division.
Agreed.
So that was Patrick Mahomes' way of putting the foot on the throat of the AFC West and saying, look, you've spent all this money and time trying to beat us, and you're just not going to beat us. The big brother is still going to be the one to win out. And that really helped kind of ice what I think is going to be a one-horse race now for the MVP the rest of the year. Barring any injuries, it is Patrick Mahomes' MVP to lose. And
Agreed.
I absolutely love what Tua is doing this year. Obviously, I've been following the Dolphins a little bit more than what I normally would because I'm following Tyreek Hill and his adaptation into the Dolphins offense. And Tua is doing amazing things. They haven't lost a single game with him under center. Remember that. And Jalen Hurts, you know what? The Eagles are doing fantastic. They are getting a little help with a very, very soft schedule this year, but you still got to go out and win the games. So nobody's handing them the victories. They're earning them. So I love both of those guys. They're doing amazing things. And hey, how about that Taylor Heineke kid in Washington? I mean, all he does is win.
Yeah. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, he's a field goal away from being undefeated. So these guys are doing great, but Patrick Mahomes head and shoulders above the crowd, and really there's no other quarterback in the league right now with a minute and a half on the line and you need a touchdown. Are you going to pick over top of Patrick Mahomes?
I agree. Now, also, Steve, I want to give some credit to that Chiefs defense because in this game, the Chiefs defense, they sacked Herbert 5 times. So we always talk about how elite their offense is, led by Patrick Mahomes. I think we got to give some credit to that Chiefs defense, led by defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo as well.
Well, I got to be perfectly honest. This is vintage Steve Spagnuolo. And I say that because every year he has been the Chiefs defensive coordinator. Their defense starts out quiet. They start out a little sloppy. But then next thing you know, about halfway through the year, they become a very staunch defense, especially on that front seven. And if you think about, you think back to the Super Bowl year 2019 and then 2020, even 2021, the defense picked up as you got into December. The defensive front seven started making all their noise in December, and now they're doing it even earlier. And number 95, Chris Jones, is the main reason. The guy is an absolute game wrecker. We played 2 games, the last 2 games before this Chargers game. Frank Clark was serving a suspension. He didn't even play. Nobody noticed. No, and it's not because Frank Clark is no good, because he's decent. I mean, he's not worth $150 million a year, in my opinion, but that's a different conversation. But he's decent. But nobody noticed. Why? Because Chris Jones, Mike Dana, mostly Chris Jones, stepped in and they just absolutely they dominated. They've dominated offensive lines. They've dominated the line of scrimmage. And Chris Jones is imposing his will on every play. So much so that you're starting to hear chatter around the league around number 95 and defensive player of the year, all in the same sentence. And it very well could happen. I honestly don't see, I mean, you could make an argument for a few other guys, but I don't see too many people impacting a game quite like what Chris Jones is doing it. And these last couple of games, he's lived up to that moniker of stone cold, because he has stopped offenses dead in their tracks.
For sure. A couple more questions for you, Steve, before I let you go. I also thought an X factor in this game that played well was Nick Bolton, the linebacker for the Chiefs. He had 10 tackles, 1 interception, so he was able to pick off Justin Herbert. I thought he had a great performance. You still got L'Jarius Sneed as well. They still got, obviously you got Chris Jones up front. You got Willie Gay at linebacker. And like you said, you got Frank Clark. I believe the Chiefs offensively are the best offense in the NFL. But whatever you get from the Chiefs defense, it's a bonus. Do you kind of agree with that? Like, we know the offense is going to score points. But defensively, whatever the Chiefs are able to do, whether it's forcing 3 and outs or it's creating turnovers, I believe whatever you can get from that Chiefs defense is an added bonus, and it makes them even scarier as a team as we get into the playoffs.
Ever since 2018 and Patrick Mahomes' first full year starting as a Kansas City Chief, we have said the same thing here in Kansas City, that if you give Patrick Mahomes and that offense a mid to late teens defense as far as NFL ranking, you're going to win Super Bowls. And it worked in 2019. That team that had a number 17 defense. This year, that defense is going to be anywhere in the upper half, top 15 or better. And they are the icing on the cake. But one bigger chunk of icing this weekend on that cake was Isaiah Pacheco, running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, who got the start over Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who ended up going out with an ankle injury early in that game. But Isaiah Pacheco ran for over 105 yards. I think it was 115 yards, something like that. And he had now the first 100-yard rushing game for a Kansas City Chiefs offensive player since early last year.
Yeah.
So now the AFC, everybody in the AFC, their heads just tipped up and took notice and said, "Oh my, Patrick Mahomes has a run game now."
Yeah.
Can you imagine defensive coordinators in the NFL sitting down on a Wednesday, getting ready to plan for the Kansas City Chiefs? They say, how do we shut down the pass game? Oh, well, that's easy. Let's play a 2-shell coverage and send 3 guys after Patrick Mahomes and just drop 8. Oh, well, that's great. But what about Isaiah Pacheco?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
What are you going to do now? Because all they got to do, turn around and hand the ball off to Pacheco. And the guy is like a dart. He wears number 10, which is completely ironic because obviously Tyreek Hill was so quick. But Pacheco, to watch him move, it's almost like you're watching Tyreek Hill all over again. The guy doesn't have that top end speed, but boy, he can take off. And if he gets to the corner, you may as well just kiss him goodbye.
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to catch him. But the defense is definitely icing on the cake, but Pacheco is the cherry on top.
For sure. Steve, let me get you out of here on this. So week 12, Rams in Kansas City against the Chiefs, 3-7 Rams, 8-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 14.5 points. Are you going to take the Chiefs with the spread this week, Steve? You think they're going to be able to cover those 14 points? We know the Rams are having a down year. They are the defending Super Bowl champions, but they're having a down year. You think the Chiefs can cover that 14.5 spread? What you got on the predictions?
Well, the Rams certainly are probably going to go down in history as the worst defending Super Bowl champion ever.
Yeah.
And so, they're having just a god-awful season. But that's what happens when you push all your chips in the table and buy all these one-year contracts to go win a Super Bowl. Eventually the piper needs to be paid. And they're paying it with all of those contracts leaving. And now their talent just, is a shell of what it was. And as far as the Chiefs go, I hate taking the Chiefs and that many points.
Yeah.
Because in the past, Kansas City has had this tendency to take their foot off the gas if they have a big lead. I don't think that's going to happen this weekend because Andy Reid knows that in a flash, things can change. Now, the Rams are missing a key component in their incredible wide receiver. Wow, his name's escaping me right now.
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And yeah, they're missing a key component there.
Yeah.
That is a massive part of that offense.
Yes.
So if there was any week that the Chiefs could cover the spread, this would definitely be the week. It's supposed to be 50 some degrees in Arrowhead Stadium, not any kind of weather to be a factor. So you're looking at the, all of GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium fired up, ready to show the NFL that run game is ready to rock and roll. And I really think the Chiefs are going to come out and they're going to just put their stamp right on this game. And they're just going to make sure that everybody knows that they're coming for the rest of the league.
He's Steve Willis, Chiefs Insider, joining Wise Guys tonight. Steve, let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
Actually, it's very easy. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. That is my biggest following. I've got about 37,000 followers on TikTok. Just at Social Media Steve on any of those platforms, and you're going to find me.
Just so everyone knows, Steve will be joining me to talk Chiefs football throughout the rest of the season and definitely in the offseason. Steve, I appreciate you joining Wise Guys tonight. I definitely appreciate it.
Trey, my friend, it has been a pleasure.
Yes, sir. That was Steve Willis, Chiefs Insider. He will be joining me on the show to discuss everything Chiefs related